welcome to today's episode where we have a special guest. We have Jennifer Ketcher joining us, and Jennifer is one of our go-to insurance gurus. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thanks for having me. This is awesome.
So tell us the name of your company, how long you've been in business, a little bit of your history.
Yeah, so I've been doing insurance for about 15 years now. 3C is my company. We are in our 5th year, so I'm loving it. Super easy. We're very mobile. So what we kind of have done over the 15 years of kind of experiencing insurance and seeing how it works is we customized it to our insureds. So with that, with the technology changing and everything advancing, we decided, hey, we're going to go mobile. We're going to be there for you. Don't take off work. Don't take your lunch break. Just text or call me. You have me 24/7, even on weekends for emergencies. But I do have people who will holler at me on the weekends just for questions. It's one of those like, hey, I'm not going to remember Monday. Let me go back and just kind of holler at you. So yeah, we love it. We like I said, I've been doing it fifth year in our 5th year.
But 15 years in insurance, and yes, she was 15 when she started, if you're doing the math, but yeah, you've always been in insurance. And so then about 5 years ago, you went out on your own, opened your own, and it's the 3C.
3C, the number 3, the letter C. Care, compassion, and courage is what it stands for.
I never knew that.
Yeah, so
I never even thought to ask what the 3C. I figured it must be something, I don't know. I love that.
Yeah, so
that fits your vibe. That is so great.
Yeah, so we have like the courage to go out there and kind of fight for our insureds, and compassion, of course. And so we really stand by our 3Cs with it. We're different from what the best way to explain it is the independent world versus the captive world. Captive is going to be the agents who work for the company. They only sell their product is the best way to kind of see that. You can kind of Google it and see which companies are captive. And then us independents who have multiple companies that we shop you through. With commercial, I have multiple carriers. Home, auto, multiple carriers. So we work for our insureds more than working for a company. We're partners with our companies, but it kind of makes it where we are customizing everything to you, which should be. When it comes to your home, your auto, things like that, it should be customized to you. Your neighbor's going to have a different policy than you will, just because everything about that policy is your policy.
Right.
So we really take that every renewal. We're constantly going over people's information. We're reshopping you a month in advance. So it's like a constant working with your policy to fit it for you. A little bit different. I worked captive majority of my insurance career, and then I was like, I want something more for my insureds. Like, I want it to be for them instead of for the company. So it's a little bit different. But
I love that though, because it really is about the person and what they need rather than what your company is making you sell to them. I love that.
And captives are great. I'm not at all saying,
just different for everyone. And so obviously homeowners insurance, car insurance, boats, motorcycles, RVs. Okay, so
everything but health insurance.
Okay,
is the best way to explain it. We'll insure your pets. Life insurance, annuities, bonds, commercial.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah. So cool. We have a few who insure their pets, their loved ones. You know, they become family. So we have those. But yeah, I do everything under the sun.
So do you do life insurance on people? Oh, I did not realize that.
Life insurance. Everything but health. I just don't do health insurance. Our license, we just keep that over there.
It'd be funny if she said, no, we only do life insurance on pets.
Not on pets.
That's really a dumb question. Sorry, Jennifer.
No, I mean, it's like life insurance. Pet insurance is kind of like that. So.
Okay. Well, and one of the reasons I brought Jennifer in today is because I'm forever going, well, what if this happens? And what if that? And then I was like, I realized the reason I'm asking those questions is because you guys are asking me those questions. So I thought rather than the telephone game, we would have a local expert come in and help us with that. Obviously, the weather has been a little bit challenged.
Wow. I think we've hit every goal under the sun this last spring.
Yes.
Like, yeah, they kept
every
saying,
extreme.
even in like Fort Gibson's 23 over right now, and their lakes, and it's just wow.
A lot of rain, so flooding. But the wind and straight line winds, I personally am not saying the T word. Tornado. Because I think what happens is most people just assume it was, and we find out later, no, it wasn't actually. So, but yeah, I'm not. So I have a few questions, and then you just kind of expound as we need to go. But so this is the kind of call that I was getting over the last month and a half is, hey, Edna, the neighbor's fence just blew down. I'm not sure if it's my fence or theirs, but what do we do? Yeah. So what is the answer there?
No. Yeah, that's a good one. Very common.
And is fences covered with homeowners insurance?
Fences are covered. So when you look at a homeowner's policy, you're going to see your coverage A, B, C, D. Every homeowner's policy is going to have your dwelling covered, your personal property covered. Other structures is where that's falling under. Other structures are going to be anything that's not attached to the main home. So you're looking at sheds, you're looking at fences, you're looking at concrete driveways, walkways, things like that that are not attached to that home. The porches that are attached, that's the home. That falls on the dwelling. So when it comes to fence, and especially in my neighborhood, I have privacy fences.
Yes.
And of course, that was super fun during Fort Gibson's tornado that we had that kind of came over. You saw like all these fences kind of fallen. Now that is the tricky thing because you share a property line.
Right.
So it's kind of be nice to your neighbors, figure things out. Fences are covered, but you also got to look at your deductibles. I mean, that's really what we're looking at when you're reviewing that policy with your agent. Always, always get with your agent, talk about covered perils, talk about your deductible. The covered perils are going to be wind, lightning, fire, things of that sort are covered perils. So you really want to talk to your agent and say, what is my deductible for wind and hail? That is separate than all other deductibles. A lot of insurance companies are now going to, excuse me, are now going to 1%, 2%, 3% wind and hail. And that is percentage of what they value your home for. So you're looking at the dwelling, if they value it for $430,000, that's 2% of that your wind and hail is. So you're kind of looking at what was my covered peril, which is what was the loss, what was the cause of that loss. And then you're looking at what is my deductible. So if your fence is going to cost $1,500 to put back up, is it worth filing that claim?
It's not.
Yeah. And the claim lasts 3 to 5 years on your record. So even if you file something before, I always suggest get an estimate, unless you're standing in 2-3 inches of water burned down. Always get an estimate because it may come back that, hey, I already filed this claim, and though you zero it out, it's still 3 to 5 years on your record.
It still shows up. So if I called and said, hey, Jennifer, my fence blew down, I want to start a thing, and you said, go get an estimate, you open the file, and then I find out it's only going to cost $800, my deductible is $2,500, I call you back and say, never mind. It's too late. It's going to show a flag on me for 3 to 5 years.
Yep, it'll be zeroed out, but those can add up. So if you've never had a claim, and let's say you filed that and it's a zero, and then later on it's like, hey, my refrigerator went out, or another thing, and then it's like, oh, that's another zero. Well, when you're shopping that, those companies are looking at it and they're saying, ooh, claim. So even though they're zeroed out, you have to kind of look from the point of view of the company and say, okay, we're looking at it as these people are filing why. So to me, it's
a red flag.
Yes. So for me, it's always important with my insureds that I say you have access to me 24/7 if you have questions. I even have people who aren't insured with me who have questions. And I'm like, that's fine. I mean, because education is super important to understand these things.
But so kind of start with what your deductible is. If your deductible is $2,500, $3,500 and up, don't file a claim on your dishwasher. Don't file a claim on your water heater. I mean, it doesn't make sense.
Depending on the covered peril, I mean, those are things you need to review with your agent.
I've never heard that term, covered peril.
Yeah, your covered peril. That's what they call them.
How do you spell peril? I'm trying to.
P-E-A-R-L.
Okay, peril. Okay,
peril.
I'm in peril. Okay. Yeah,
I'm going to
adjust. I got it. So very good. Okay. Next, trees. We lost so many trees in Cherokee County and surrounding areas.
Yes.
So if the neighbor's tree falls on my fence, whose fault is that? Who pays for that? Does the neighbor's insurance cover that?
Yeah. So we're talking about now on every policy everywhere, Oklahoma, because that's where we're at, is going to have what's called liability insurance on it, kind of like your auto. Liability on a homeowner's is slightly different, where they have to show that they were deemed at fault for this. And when I say someone is showing that they're at fault, I mean the courts or the adjusters have to decide this.
Okay.
Ways that kind of goes, because it's tricky with trees. Yes, the neighbor's tree fell on it. Is it a healthy tree? Is it a dead tree? Dead trees are considered neglect in insurance. If you have a dead tree on your property, go ahead and take it down. Okay. The reason for it, if it does cause damage, there is a possibility your company's not going to pay for that. Okay. It's neglect. If the tree is dead, it's on the property, you know about it, neglect. So depending on that situation, it would be one of those, your insurance is going to cover it. If that tree on your neighbor falls on your house, your insurance policy definitely you can file, it can be taken care of that way. You can attempt to file on the neighbors going after liability, but if they don't see them, then it may end up in small claims court. So you may end up, unfortunately, having to get an attorney and go through that process.
And like you started with, it's not a good neighborly way to, right?
Yeah.
So try to work it out with them.
To kind of help with that tree situation with the neighbors, to avoid maybe that situation occurring, you have every right that if it passes that property line, your property line, you can cut the tree limbs away. You cannot cut the tree down because it's not on your property. You can even notify your neighbor and say, hey, this tree looks like it's getting out of hand. I don't want it falling on my house. I don't want it falling on my shop. I don't want to, end up in a bad situation.
Right.
Written notice, I always say, insurance loves written stuff. You got to show documentation. So if you even gave them a letter like, hey, I made a copy, I'm keeping one. This is like, date it, notice one, please take the tree down. It will... If they knew about the tree being a problem and they cut it maybe away from their property, but it's leaning now towards yours, you'd probably win that. Because it's showing that they knew about the tree. If they were aware of the tree being a problem, could have been a problem. You notified them, you let them know. If that tree did fall on your house, you have a pretty strong liability case. And it would go on their liability of their homeowner's policy. Liability, best way to explain it, lawsuit coverage. Think of it like that. It protects you against lawsuits that find you pretty much at fault.
Right.
Best way to explain that.
That makes sense.
So it's not automatically going to be like a car insurance policy where it's like, okay, you were at fault, I'm at fault.
Yeah.
It's you have to prove through that, and the only people who can really deem that are going to be adjusters or the court. As an agent, like we can't say, oh, they're 100% at fault. There isn't that.
I'm kind of glad that's not your job.
Yeah, definitely. With it, but reading through those. It's called your policy jacket, your whole policy, the binder of it. You get them in the mail. You sometimes get them in emails. They're thick. Like you'll get them and you're like, oh, I'll put that in my file.
Okay. Yeah. Never actually read any of those.
No. I like reading them, but I'm an insurance nerd. So I'm like, I read through them, especially when someone calls about something. It will tell you your covered perils, what is and what is not covered. Now, a lot of times lawyers write those. So it's like, and if buts in them, there's a lot of gray areas. I always say, get with your agent, talk to your agent about it, kind of go through those policies. There will be black and white. If it's a dead tree and that's considered neglect, not going to be covered most likely. If it's a tree you knew that was a hazard and you didn't cut those tree limbs back, you could run into issues with that. Healthy trees of that sort. So we always just say maintain your property. I know that's hard. Things kind of get in the way year after year. But it is a reminder. And nowadays companies are going through inspections. It isn't maybe I haven't had one in 20 plus years. It is, no, you most likely will have one, especially if you're changing companies. Or you're
and I've seen them using drones.
Yes.
So they can fly over, check out the house, check out the limbs that you are not maintaining that could be a liability on your neighbor. So I love that. So really step one, ask your neighbor in writing if you have permission, if they first will trim their limbs that are hanging over. If they won't, then notify the neighbor that you're going to trim the limbs, right?
And you have the right to do it. If it crosses that property line in Oklahoma, you have the right to cut those limbs back, even without permission. But if it becomes a problem where it's constant and the tree's really leaning, at that point, I would suggest like, hey, could you cut the tree down?
Yes.
Now, you can be neighborly. There's nothing in writing saying, you know, they have to pay for it. You could say, I'll help pay for half. Especially with fences, if you see the fence leaning into your property line, you can prop that fence up. Even though it's not yours, you have every right to keep things safe and secure on your property. And do the best you can to keep it away, and then notifying the neighbor of, hey, we got a problem. I don't want it to become, especially with the winds that we've had. Fort Gibson got hit pretty hard. I think everywhere did.
Everywhere did.
Yeah, everywhere definitely
for
did.
sure. Okay, next question is from a landlord.
Okay.
My tree fell and crushed a vehicle of the tenant. Is that my problem, or is it an act of God?
No, so we don't say acts of God anymore in insurance.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's
we've been throwing that around for years. We just assumed it was still okay.
Yeah. So insurance.
She was like, no. Okay. Trigger warning.
No, you're
for all of you insurance agents who are watching this, I apologize.
No. It's perfectly fine. It's something we all say. I mean, it's hard not to. It's like saying full coverage on insurance. Like if you say full coverage to an insurance person, we're going to say uninsured and roadside service and every product we offer. But what you hear is comp and collision. So so there's like certain things we hear and we're like, we understand what it means, but when it comes to that. So acts of God are, that's a tough one. That's not a thing.
It's just not a thing. Not a thing.
Yeah, don't blame God. He didn't cause the tree.
So the wind knocks the tree onto the car.
Yeah. So
is the owner of the tree responsible, or is the car insurance?
Yeah. So also kind of going back to the same thing with the home, because that landlord has a policy that has liability on it, deeming him liable is going to be what we're looking for. And covered peril instead of act of God, that's where that's going to play effect in. So act of God is it wind? Was it lightning? Was it fire? Was it the landlord going out and cutting tree limbs down and it fell?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, so you're really looking at what is that covered peril, cause of loss? What caused that tree to fall is what insurance is looking at. So if it, because wind blew it down onto that car, at that point, the person's car insurance, if they have comprehensive coverage, will cover for that. Comp is acts of God. No, is things that are out of your control. Best way to explain comp: deer claims, hail damage, theft, things out of your control. Collision is exactly what it sounds like. I collided in with something. So comprehensive would fall under that. Yes, they'd be subject to a deductible, but the insurance companies can go after the landlord policy in that event. It's called subrogation, and that can take a very long time. Or you can take them to small claims court and maybe speed the process up, talk to an attorney, see what your options are with that. The attorneys are going to know best for the advice of are they liable in that situation. So.
And that kind of goes back again, if it was a completely healthy tree and the straight line winds were 80 miles an hour, or was it a dead tree? That's been...
that he neglected to do something with.
And the wind was not blowing and the tree fell.
And it just happens like a gopher was digging and it just dug the wrong hole under the right tree. But so it really just depends in that situation. But it does go back to, if they were found liable for it, it would most likely fall on that landlord policy. Not the tenant necessarily policy, but the landlord's policy, because it's the tree on the property. So
Okay. Interesting. And would renter's insurance cover the vehicle in that situation?
No.
Okay.
No.
Believe me, we've been spinning it every direction we could to figure it out.
Now, renter's insurance, the one that bleeds over on a renter's insurance with an auto would be the things inside your auto get stolen. So you have a sewing machines or your wallet or something inside your vehicle. Now,
did you say sewing machine?
Yes. I've actually had this happen. So this wasn't
I
actual.
didn't hear that right.
This was an actual loss. She had a few sewing machines in her back of her vehicle, and somebody stole the sewing machines. And it was like, what is that filed under? Because it's your personal property. That's where it's going to be. Renter's insurance has personal property. Now, when it is away from the home or away from your rental, and it's in your vehicle.
Oh, okay. So if you were at Walmart and the sewing machines,
we're in your back seat. It's the best one to remember.
Okay,
You're gonna
then
remember.
It's not renter insurance,
No,
but if it's in your driveway,
Nope, it is. So when you are away from the home, you're in your vehicle and you have your personal property in there, and it gets stolen out of there, whether it be sewing machines or a Yeti, who knows, your stuff you got that's inside that vehicle. Your renters and your homeowners policy will extend that personal property to you for theft. However, each policy, get with your agent, talk about it, will have a certain percentage that it will cover up to on there. So there are limits. Same thing.
They were antique sewing machines.
The good singers.
Collector items.
Yes.
So they might not be covered because there's a max.
Well, there'll be a limit, on it. So there'll be some coverage. Renters definitely has a smaller limit than a homeowner's policy. That's a percentage of that dwelling. Everything on the homeowners is a percentage of the dwelling value. So the personal property there may be $250,000. Where on a renter's, you only took out $20,000. So you may only have 200 or 2,000, or just depending on the company
and still a deductible.
Still a deductible.
Okay, so maybe if it's a garage sale sewing machine, you just let it go.
You let it go. You let it go.
Don't file a claim.
If it is something, I always tell people, if it is something of a value like that is a Singer sewing machine, or if it is a valuable item like your rings, your jewelry, a fine piece of art, get a personal articles policy, especially if you're going to be traveling, especially if it's not. Or even if you're not, if it's a fine art or a rug inside your home that means something, has a value to it, you've appraised it, it's worth a lot, or just sentimental, you can get a personal articles policy. And those are awesome. They have very low deductibles. They're not very expensive, and they protect that specific item from theft, fire, things like that. They're not very expensive to get those either. So, but yeah, keep those things safe. But yes, in that situation with the tree and you can file it on your auto insurance and get that covered if you have comp or collision.
There you go. There you go. So, I mean, we could literally sit here and talk all day long. Because it's just like with real estate. There's so many scenarios, and no two are exactly the same. But is there one thing that you think that the average person has no clue of, and you would like to educate them on this, like one or two items?
Oh gosh, there's so much. Reviewing your policies with your agent is so important. Doing this yearly is so important. So with 3C, we have our cute little, you've seen the bird, the little cardinals. We did that for watching over you and yours. And then we have the antlers. And the reason I go back to these antlers is because deer shed their antlers and they regrow them. So it's new growth every year. So the way I explain it is you maybe got a hot tub and didn't think, oh, I should call my insurance agent to make sure I have the proper personal property coverage, because that's where that would fall under. So knowing where things are and where they need to be, always notify your agent. I mean, that's what we're here for, is to answer your questions, to help your policy grow with you. But really understanding just the basics of a homeowner's or just the basics of an auto, I mean, never is a bad thing. There's so much to it, so much I want to educate. And you're right, we could talk all day.
We could be here all day.
We really could. But real quick, just going back to your main questions, you're really going to find this under liability. Liability follows that person, even when you're off premises. So your homeowner's liability would be, I'm walking my dog and it bit somebody. You know, you're liable. Finding you liable is that next step. They get attorneys involved, or they get the claims adjusters involved, and they see who's liable for it. But that's where the liability coverage will fall into. Your tree falling on somebody's car or falling on their house or something, that's your liability insurance on your homeowners. Adjusters and attorneys are the only ones who can deem who's at fault, who's liable for that. Agents can't, but we can definitely go through, hey, was it a dead tree? Was it a live tree? We can kind of guide you in those directions, explaining your deductibles. Know your deductibles. That's the biggest thing. A lot of people say, oh, I have $1,000 deductible. And you're like, wait, your wind and hail is a very separate deductible in Oklahoma than your all other perils. So wind and hail, and then you have everything else under one deductible. And you can pick the all others. You used to be able to pick wind and hail. Now a lot of companies are leaning towards 1%, 2%, 3% wind and hails, and they're kind of locking it in. Like if you get a policy with such and such company, we require a 2% wind and hail. You know, each company has their own guidelines, but you can pick all others, which is fire, theft, things of that sort. So know your deductibles, understand your coverage, review them once a year. Best thing to do.
And so if you are online and you just pick an insurance company and you've never talked to the person, it's basically, like I said, act of God again. Okay, so that's how we feel about people who use online lenders. Don't do it.
Yes.
You need to have a person that you can call and go through. So that's what I'm hearing is like, you know.
It's really good. If you understand insurance and you're comfortable with it, then by all means, utilize the tools you feel necessary. I have people who do, and they still call me, and that's fine. I'm open to that. I never.
But again, 15 years of experience. You could tell us some stories, right? And the average person, I don't even know what my deductible is.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
that's so important, especially after everything that's been going on in the world. I mean, it seems like the storms, the natural disasters, I mean, the fires, Oklahoma, we've had quite a bit. Our spring has been heavy this year. And I think it's opened the eyes of a lot of people. Fort Gibson, when it got hit, me and my family were literally boots on the ground. We went out that day. I grabbed my tablet, I grabbed my little earpiece, and I'm like, I'm hooked up, but I'm also cutting trees down and helping people. And I went out, and it was just educating them. You have the right during a storm, especially since our storms were back to back to back.
Yes,
We had no breathing room. It was tree on
this
house.
is not normal for people in California think it's always like this. This was not a normal spring.
This is not normal. This was crazy. It was an act of God. It was tree fell on person's house the next, like that night, it was going to dump. It was going to rain. And there's a hole in their roof. And they're like, what do we do? And you have every right to remove said tree, get it tarped. Stop the bleeding is the best way to explain it. It is stop it from causing more damage. That is the best thing to do. Insurance companies are never, ever gonna, an adjuster will never balk at you, stopping something causing more damage to cause mold and mildew and things like that over time. Because we didn't have time during these storms. The roofers were crazy busy.
Oh my gosh, and still are.
Yes, and the tree people were, and it was constant. It was back to back to back. So in that event, you have the right to stop that bleed. Get the tree off of the house. You can put it to the side and then tarp it. Take photos, videos if possible, but definitely just document everything during even a car accident.
Well, guys, again, we could keep Jennifer here all day, and I'm constantly hitting her up with questions, but it's best for you to do it directly. So we're going to put Jennifer's contact information below if you are looking to get an insurance quote, I guess is what it's called, or to have a conversation with a knowledgeable insurance local person that you could contact in an emergency rather than, because believe me, when the roof blows off, you don't want to be thinking, where's my iPad and how do I email that person, right? So if you have any questions, we're going to put her contact information below along with her company's info. And I highly recommend to do exactly what she said. Reach out to your person. If you don't have a person, you might want to make a call. Jennifer, we're so appreciative of you coming, especially during this busy season, to take the time to come in and answer these questions. And guys, thank you so much for the questions. We really appreciate it. And as always, please like, follow, and share. And go read your insurance policy. Maybe wait till tonight. You can.
That's a good way to sleep.
It'll put you to sleep. And if you don't have an insurance agent, is that what you call them? Insurance agent that you can pick up the phone and call? Maybe you should think about changing that. So,
Yes.
okay. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having
Appreciate
me.
you. Thanks, everyone.